Good afternoon, Britannia, and hello to the rest of the world. Welcome to 2CTV. The Tory party, the Conservative and Unionist Party of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, is falling apart. A lot of scandals, election corruption, and that's not really the scandals is even about their government policies or their manifesto or the fact that their party leader was not even elected by their own members. No. This is about the ongoing crisis of the last few days of some of the people close to the Tory machine, the Tory central office and Downing Street, placing bets on the date of the election way before it was announced. It turned out to be at first a small story, but it's becoming a bit of a problem. But at the same time, 2CTV, unlike the mainstream media, will be objective because we're also going to be exposing a potential problem from the other side when it comes to the question of who actually leaked the information. The Electoral Commission, the Gambling Commission, all these guys, are they close to the Labour Party? Hello to everybody in the live chat. You might be asking questions. Why has Maya started the live stream at this time, 4:20 p.m. UK time? It's because in about 40 minutes time, I have to watch England beat the Vikings. Although if you're watching this live, if you're watching this after it's live later on, and if England had lost to Denmark, feel free to laugh at what I just said. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on with the show. Let's talk about this. On the left, you have Tony Lee, the campaign's director of the Conservative Party at CCHQ. On the right, you have Laura Sanders, who is one of the candidates in Bristol. Now, clarification, declaration, conflict of interest. I know Laura, or at least I used to know her when we were young and naive and young Tory activists, when I used to be a Tory. She's now a grown-up, she's now a Tory candidate. She's married to Tony, who is the campaign director. And these two are also have been added to the list of those who are going to be investigated because they've been placing, allegedly, bets on the election date way before it was announced. Now, the whole system is crashing. The Conservative Party have come out to say, we have been contacted by the Gambling Commission about a small number of individuals. As the Gambling Commission is an independent body, it wouldn't be proper to comment further until any process is concluded. So boring, isn't it? At the same time, we also heard from the Gambling Commission, saying the Gambling Commission regulates gambling in the interests of consumers and the wider public. Currently, the Commission is investigating the possibility of offences concerning the date of the election. This is an ongoing investigation and the Commission cannot provide any further details at this time. We're not confirming or denying the identity of any individuals involved in this investigation. Somebody leaked the information of these guys. It's not like they bragged about it on social media. Now, we get to that in a second. The Tory party, I mean, this is just complete S-show. It's a circus run by clowns. They did their social media posts earlier on, I think it was last night. There was a video of a casino, and then they said, if you bet on Labour, you can never win. In the middle of the ongoing crisis about gambling. So the Tory party had to delete this post. Luckily, we have screenshots of this Twitter post. It's so embarrassing. Now, the problem itself, on the one hand, if you're a normal person, you'd be like, well, it's a bit messed up, but it's not really a national crisis, is it? But it does send a very obvious signal that basically the whole of the Tory party is not just corrupt, morally bankrupt, and they don't even care. That's one thing. But the other thing we need to get into is how did we find out? Who leaked this information, right? Because if you place a bet, it's not really public. Some people would know, including people who are part of the platform or the Gambling Commission. Potentially, allegedly. We'll get into that. And how the media are very interested in this story. It's a messed up story, but they turned it into a national crisis, right? We'll get to that in a second. So, the Tories appear to have officially admitted defeat because the official party line now is only the Conservatives can win enough seats to prevent an unaccountable Labour majority. And that is not true. In fact, vote Tory, get Labour at this time. This is a whole different election compared to 2019 or any previous election. The Tories don't even have a chance of doing anything, even becoming the opposition. So you vote Tory, you are splitting the centre-right vote anyway. But the fact that they know that, and they've given up on campaigning. In fact, we've also just heard that they have now withdrawn the campaign funding for a number of seats and candidates. Now imagine being one of those candidates who doesn't really get any more funding and you still got 2 weeks to go to the election. I don't think you're going to be a happy bunny. So that's happening. But let's get into my favorite new conspiracy theory. Let's explore my conspiracy theory about who leaked this information. How did we find out about all these individuals placing bets? Did they tell a family friend and somebody leaked? Or maybe, the Gambling Commission. Potentially, allegedly. This is a very whole different thing, so I'm not going to get into legal problems. Guido revealed, Gambling Commissioner worked at CPS with Keir Starmer, under Keir Starmer. And we then discovered that the people at the top of the Gambling Commission are Labour people, Labour supporters. The Gambling Commissioner was actually working under Keir Starmer at CPS. Guido said one commissioner is Lloydette by Murrow, a co-founder and director of the Black Women in Leadership Network. Now, she doesn't sound like a right-winger. Black Women in Leadership Network. An organization committed to increasing the representation of black women in leadership and decision-making positions, which spends its time celebrating Kamala Harris. Oh dear. By Murrow has praised David Lammy's, now obviously advisor, for his attacks on the government, claiming that the Tories are creating the illusion of a country as a leading force in anti... Okay, hang on. We'll get to the problems that we have in terms of political leanings, right? David Lammy has his supporters. Keir Starmer, Kamala Harris apparently has her supporters. But when we talk about anything that's about the conflict of interest, political interest, but also personal connections, they might just be coincidences. Fair enough. Guido has done this story. She used to be part of the Crown Prosecution Service. She was a Crown Prosecutor, so she knows Keir Starmer quite well. That's not really the dots that you could connect, but the fact that they are Labour supporters and they are basically, obviously she's in charge of the Black Women in Leadership Network. There's a lot of questions that are being raised because these guys have access to the database when people place bets. Allegedly, potentially, they could go through the list and see if any Tory has placed a bet. Maybe. It's just a question. I'm just asking. That's all I'm saying. Right? Because obviously we are going to focus on the fact that the Tories are corrupt and they're weird anyway, and what they did is not right, allegedly. We know that already. But I'm still interested to find out how we found out about this. How did it get leaked? I literally just placed a bet right now, 10 minutes ago, on the upcoming game between England and Denmark. Yeah, I believe we're going to win 3-1 or 2-1. But the only people who know that I placed a bet, apart from you guys and half the country now, well, before I mentioned it, the people who have access to the betting platform and the commission, they have access to the database. These are the only people who know. Now, one of the people who was also arrested and suspended and is now under investigation is a police officer who is part of Rishi Sunak's private protection at Downing Street. Now, that's also messed up, isn't it? Because we talked about that last night. The Tories are finished, we know that. But how did we find out about a random police officer who's in private protection of Rishi Sunak? The media are very much interested in the story. They're loving it. It's like, well, firstly, the whole fault goes back to the Tories because they basically just scored an own goal like idiots. But the perfect scenario is the fact that we are now being able to expose all institutions and organizations that have been infiltrated by the politically leaning people, including the Gambling Commission. We've talked about civil service, we've talked about Quangos, the NHS, the mainstream media. It seems like every organization, mainstream organization or institution, any sort of body, is led by people on the left. Where are the right-wingers? Well, it seems like they're just busy running their own families and running their own businesses, or I don't know, being farmers or whatever they do. But those at the top of the establishment all seem to be a little bit left-wing. Chris says, nice to meet you last night. Yes, I did meet Chris last night in a bar. And actually, he told me to sort out my hair and dress up well. So I've done this for Chris. Thank you so much for the feedback. Anyway, super chat time. Mike says it's an ex-party gone to its maker, no longer with us, deceased. Toes turned up. Appropriately, it's a Swedish blue. So, I mean, at this point, considering the title of the video and the whole main story is about the Tories being weird, but how much can we talk about this? Because it's getting a little bit embarrassing now for the Tory establishment. There are bigger problems than a few Tories using potentially, allegedly, inside information to place a bet. I also really want to find out how much money they put on it. Because if it was just £5, it might just be a coincidence. If it was £1,000, I'm going to feel a little bit left out because I wish I knew about the date of the election. Robin Hood reminds us that the England match starts at 5 p.m. in 30 minutes. That's exactly why we started the live stream at 4:20, so we could all have time to then get a pint of beer and watch the game. God help us all. What's going on here? George Galloway has intel on hope not hate, so may take them down. Yeah, but you know, it really depends because part of hope not hate are also going after George Galloway's candidates because some of the Islamist candidates are some of them all the Islamist candidates are homophobic and hope not hate are liberal leftists weird. But there's still a group of people at Hope Not Hate. In case you don't know, Hope Not Hate is like an Antifa, far left fascist organization. They do cancel culture. The other chunk of people who work at Hope Not Hate, they like George Galloway. So it's a bit of a clash internally at the top of Hope Not Hate in terms of what they're doing. Ugly Boy says, kick back, grab the popcorn, crack open a cold one, and enjoy the show. The Conservatives have had this coming for decades now. Better late than ever. Well, at least since 2005, or at least since 2010, because this was the David Cameron project to modernize the party, but he opened the door to all the liberal globalists, and the whole party changed. Andrew Davis says, Bun Bun for Prime Minister. We cannot wait 5 years. Where is Bun Bun? He's very quiet today. We have no idea where he is. David says, all scary stuff. How can anyone trust politicians, civil servants, and establishments with all that's happening? The system is totally broken. A Labour Party wins, it will just get worse, not better. But this is the thing. Considering that most of the top of institutions and establishment have already been infiltrated by the left, when the Labour Party gets into government, by default, they are going to have to govern as government, which means they can't really fully be a left-wing activist group. So they will have to make decisions that will anger the same left-wing institutions and groups that have been supporting them. Same thing happened under Tony Blair. So you're going to end up having actually probably potentially even more trade union strikes under Keir Starmer than under Rishi Sunak. They're going to clash. The left-wing parliamentary members of the Labour Party will clash with Starmer. All these institutions will clash. The whole thing will end up being, as we always say, the left eating itself. So it's a perfect opportunity, the only opportunity for the sensible, patriotic people on the centre-right to get together, find a solution, rally the troops, have one unifying party, prepare for government, prepare for the fallout of this upcoming parliament, prepare for a snap election, and campaigning. It's the only way, because this government that's going to come in, it's not going to be sustainable. It is not going to be 1997 Tony Blair government. It's not. It's just window dressing. You literally have the top of the Labour government in a couple of weeks. The leader is Keir Starmer. The deputy leader, the deputy prime minister, will be Angela Rayner. She represents a whole different wing of the Labour Party. The trade unions, some of them are backing the Labour Party. Some of them withdrew their funding until now. Now they have to, by default, back the Labour Party because it's election time to defeat the Tories. But actually, when the time comes, the left will eat itself. We start the live stream at 4:20 p.m. So Will says 4:20. If you know, you know. 4:20. Anyway. See what else we have. Michael says, Starmer will not make decisions. He will cry for help from his Lord and Master Klaus Schwab. Well, it's no longer Klaus Schwab because he's now resigned. But yes, they will be relying on the globalist institutions, from the Bank of England to the IMF to the World Economic Forum advisors, to basically make up their minds, and the European Union, to make up their mind on how they should do policies. We're not going to have a sovereign parliament, sovereign government, democratically elected, and actually making decisions independently. This country is not independent. We might have left the European Union to an extent, but we are still part of the globalist platform. Going back to Super Chat. The Angry Spectator says, thank you by the way for the support, saying, vote reform. P.S. Please reply to my emails, Maya. I don't know which emails, but we'll check it out. Hopefully the team will check them out. Music and Fiction says, my prediction is that Labour will win, but will likely splinter after a year-long Islamist, non-Islamist lines. Then Reform UK wins it all, 25, 26. Yeah, but it won't even be the Islamist and non-Islamist side. It's also going to be the just general left versus Starmer's cabinet. That's also going to be a big divide. Obviously, the element of the Islamism as a topic will be involved, because some of the far left and champagne socialists, in order to be allies to the Islamists and also the illegal migrants, they're going to start to fight on their behalf with Starmer's government. The whole thing will come crashing down eventually. Paolo says, I wish you, everyone, all the best in the UK. Trump 2024. Brilliant. Well, soon after this general election, 2CTV will be coming to America. And we will be reporting from DC, New York, Florida, and other places, hopefully, unless the whole plan changes. We'll be there. We will be also meeting up with Team Trump on 2CTV to discuss certain things. We'll keep you guys posted over the next couple of months. Peter Green says, get their poops bag ready. Oh dear. What else do we have in the live chat? I know about 420. It's the time most of the smoke traditionally. Now it's just all day in Thatcher's Britain. Thatcher's Britain. Every day is 420. I don't know who this person is talking to or addressing, but he's saying, a vote for reform is a vote for reform, you muppet. If he's talking to me, it makes no sense, considering that's exactly what I keep saying. I have not said the opposite of what this idiot just said. So unless he's talking to somebody else in live chat, which is not really clear, a vote for reform is vote for reform. Vote for Tory is a vote for the Labour government. That's simple. Stephen says, don't vote for any party because it's all corrupt, and any investigation will just be just as corrupt because they are already paid by the same people. Well, we have a solution. 1, we could kill ourselves, suicide. 2, you could move to Saudi Arabia. You could move to China. You could start a revolution and get shot on the street. You could continue voting by being blind, or you could vote and fight inside the system, continue fighting for our society and for our people, and never give up the fight. We have a few options. Or you could just keep moaning and whining that, oh, we can't vote, blah, 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 the whole system is bought out. But the other side could have said the same in the 40s and 50s. But what did they do? They worked hard. The academic left, the intellectual socialists, the Marxists, they decided to be patient. They infiltrated our schools, our universities, our academia, our cultural institutions, our political establishment. It was a few decades-long campaign, and they are now in charge. They didn't sit back and moan about it. But at one point, they had no power. Now they do, because they didn't moan. They took charge. They infiltrated everything. Now it's time for us to take back control. Or move to Saudi Arabia. Or move to Gaza. That's another option as well. William says the Tories will lose heavily and asks Nigel Farage to lead them after this general election. A Reform UK Conservative Party led, as I said, by Nigel Farage. That is a possibility, but at this point, from what we are hearing, is that the Tory party is now completely dominated by the Liberal wing, and the people who are considering already a leadership election are from the Liberal side. So Tom Tugendhat, Penny Mordaunt, those guys. So the only scenario I could see at this point, things will change potentially, is a few conservative-leaning Tories will have to leave the party, give it up, let that party be a Liberal party, and then basically either join Reform or merge with Reform, form a new party, basically. But I feel like the current Tory party, unless after the election when Rishi Sunak leaves, somebody takes control and gets rid of everybody who works at the Tory central office, CCHQ. If they do that, there is hope in the future, not instantly, in the future, for the Tory party either merge with Reform or come back, whatever happens. But at this point, it's not going to happen. Their party is completely infiltrated and controlled by the Liberal side. Super chat from Joe saying Nigel declared war on the WEF. Do you think he will win? Yeah, obviously, we have reported this on 2CTV last night about Nigel Farage's announcement against the World Economic Forum. But potentially, yes, because the tide is turning with people like Javier Milei, people like Donald J. Trump, and a few others, potentially Marine Le Pen. These guys, if they all win, and if they all are running these countries at the same time, and if they all decide to withdraw from organizations like the World Economic Forum, it's not even just about WEF, then there is definitely an opportunity. There's definitely a chance. Of course, there will be a fight back from the establishment, but if it's just one person, even hypothetically, let's just say 5 years from now, Nigel is Prime Minister of Britain, the UK, it's difficult. It's just one person, one country. The globalist establishments work very well in harmony to do peer pressure, to bully countries into accepting the norm, the status quo. Anyway, we'll keep you guys posted. I'm going to go get ready to watch the England game and us defeating the Vikings. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.